phone because for some reason my microphone was not working on my computer tonight. And I don't know why, because I've been using it pretty consistently. It has in the past done that, but I don't know what's going on. Let me go ahead and give you a little bit more light. I think I have one person on here. I'm going to give you some light because it's really dark. There you go. Now we can see. Good. Okay. So now it's going to work because it's my phone, as long as my phone doesn't die. That's kind of the hope right now. All right. So Q&A, I'll go over everything. Yes, good. Yay. Now you guys are coming back. Yay. I'm so happy. Okay. So really quick schedule. I will write it in the comments, but this is what I was saying when everything was just broken up and crazy, is I'm going to go ahead and do 2 more weeks in August. We have 2 more weeks left in August. And then starting in September 4th, that's a Sunday, I have a book signing at Barnes & Noble. Super excited. That's going to be awesome. So I thought I would take that night off because it's going to be crazy. Maybe crazy as in, like, for me, the adrenaline. I don't know if anyone's going to show up. I'll just be honest. It'll just be like, or disappointment. It might be adrenaline, disappointment. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm excited. Either way, it's something new that I haven't done. I'm really into it. I did have a speaking engagement yesterday. I had about 40, maybe 50 people. That was really cool. And then I have another speaking engagement, and I'm going to actually start promoting myself more as a speaker. But I also have a live stream. Let me talk about the live stream because that's what you guys are into. I'm going to start on September 4th doing a live stream every other Sunday, maybe every Sunday. Knowing me, I've been enjoying this a lot. But I want to be unboxing the idea of coming back to the way God intended us to teach our kids, looking at the truth behind the public school system, private school system. And I have as a guest, so I'm going to invite guests on with me for each and every one of the calls. And the first one is Summer Myers. So if you don't know Summer, I did a collab with her earlier in the week, and it was awesome. So hopefully if you guys give me thumbs up, people will start seeing it. I had like almost 20 people on the last live. And so right now it's slowly trickling in. And but if not, it'll be a small intimate group tonight, which will be awesome. And I'll be more aware of what's going on with that mic. Anyway, so Summer Myers is coming on September 4th, and we are going to talk about the public school system and how we've been brainwashed by the public school system without even realizing it, little things that we have pulled from the public school system, habits that aren't necessarily healthy for our household. And yeah, we're going to be talking about that. We were going to do curriculum, but I felt like I didn't want to walk through that door yet because there are a lot of curriculum out there that people are very passionate about. And I didn't want to go down a road of bashing curriculum because I don't want to bash curriculum. That's not the purpose. I will say that there is curriculum out there. Yeah, with Summer, it's going to be awesome. If you haven't subscribed to her channel, me and her kind of think alike. So yeah, it is. It's going to be heavy, and I'm only going to do those in my live streams. I'm not with my channel. I'm going to continue doing those uploads, like just, helping with special needs and also homeschool curriculum flip throughs. But like just delving into, we did one sensory processing disorder. I have one coming up where where I show you how Naomi's first day of kindergarten and how I worked with her with reading. I know a lot of people have requested like physical therapies again. I can't record her in physical therapy. And the aqua therapy is getting sticky because she shares aqua therapy now with a bunch of other kids and they can't be recorded. So it gets a little sticky because I can't do those too much, but I can do like the ones at home. And then the occupational therapy is a different situation. Speech therapy too. So it's really hard for me to record our therapies, even though I need to talk to them about doing that. But yeah, I gotta answer questions because you guys have questions. So I'm gonna start. I haven't seen any questions in the chats, and I know I usually look at the chats. But I am gonna go through the questions that came up through the comment section. So the first one is, I would like to make a checklist for my daughter with pictures because she is just starting to read. How do you make it? Any tips? So I'm guessing checklist like chore chart Or I know the only checklist that we've actually ever used, we did like a routine one, and we got like, you buy it from Amazon, it has Velcro on it, and they're pre-cut pictures. So we did a daily routine one where it was on there, and after each routine, she ripped it off and stuck it in the container. It didn't last that long. We weren't very consistent with it because I just felt like it was an extra step, and I don't know, maybe I need to go do it again. We also did bathroom routine, so she knew what came next, and we did that. And then she ripped all the Velcro off the back one day when I was cooking, and I haven't fixed it since. But I understood, you walk into the bathroom, you know the process, each individual step, everything from flushing the toilet to putting the water on to wash your hands and soap. So we did that as a picture checklist, but they have them at Amazon if you want to buy them. Okay. Thank you guys. South Florida, and sometimes feel like I'm on an island. Yeah. South Florida is an island. No, I'm joking. No, I get it. It's like a foreign country in South Florida. South Florida is very different from the rest of Florida. For those of you that don't live in Florida, it really does feel like that. I have family in West Palm Beach, so I've gone there. Yeah, I've gone there pretty frequently. I might be going there again actually in a few days. Anyway, not a few days, I'm sorry. In December, maybe. Not sure yet. It's still up in the air. Okay, so those were my comments for that one. Okay, the next question says, you're from the Midwest. Wait, so did you go to the Midwest and then you moved to South Florida? Oh, that's a big difference. Thank you so much. And guys, type questions if you have any. So I'm going to go to the next question. What type of activities do you use to keep Naomi busy while you're working on school with your other children? My kindergarten with Down syndrome has a short attention span, and it's hard to keep her engaged in an activity long enough to help my other kids with school. Yeah. I hate doing the iPad. One thing, we've planned it around her therapies. So when she's at therapy, we do like the heavy duty school stuff. So if we're doing car schooling that day with my kids, we want to do history. And that's like a family activity where we all sit around and we do history as one subject. We'll do it in the parking lot in my car while she's at therapy. We also, I will say this though, that there are some, like when we do Bible, she does sit there and do a puzzle. And I do, oh my gosh, it was in my video. It was in my last video on Monday. I show you, like I literally show you, because I was doing homeschooling versus public school. And I'm literally sitting there with her in my lap, and my husband's doing the Bible study, and he's working with all the other kids. And then I'm working with Naomi on a puzzle. And a lot of the times I'll do that. Like I'll have her fixated on one, and boys are different though too. Did she say she has a boy? Nope, it's a her. Yeah, it's hard to keep her engaged. So puzzles, she loves puzzles. Another thing she likes to do is line up cars. So she has a container of cars, and she just lines them up on the table, like in like circles and zigzags and different patterns. And if I move one, if she gets mad, and then she has to redo the whole thing. So then when I feel like she's getting antsy, I move one and then she starts over. So then that way I can kind of focus on the other kids. And I also like to have them sitting close to me so I don't have to get up and move around, even though sometimes it's a matter of bouncing from person to person. I have some days where I'm like with one kid and then another kid and then another kid and then Naomi. And then I just like, and sometimes it'll be kid, Naomi, kid, Naomi, kid, Naomi. And I'm literally bouncing for like an hour. Especially when they get into like mathematics, where it's more independent work or any type of cursive handwriting or copy work or that kind of stuff. But I try to, like I said, the group where it's almost like a sit down and lecture, not lecture, but we read together and discuss and have like a Q&A kind of thing with the kids. That I do when she's in therapies. I have this year, I will say this year I've made it actually it started over the summer. We have been able to schedule her therapies in a way that my husband can take her. So he's home on Monday. So he's a paramedic. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that. So he works really, really odd hours. And so that's why he's not home some nights. And that's actually, everybody's like, how do you do YouTube? How do you do? Because I value my time with my husband, but he's literally not home. But he is home during the day sometimes when Naomi has blocks of therapy. So he's able to take her to therapy. But that's like a luxury that I kind of have, which I know not everybody has. But I would suggest like puzzles, and find what they like. If they like dolls, I'm lucky that I found out that she likes to line up cars. Coloring, if they like to color. Sometimes like eating food during those times will keep their mouth shut and keep them like focused on something else. I've done that too. So, and I try to minimize that time, or purposely schedule those moments where we know that she's, going to be attentive or doing something that we can have her be attentive with. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Okay, I'm going to skip because I got, let's see, a lot of people wrote like some really good questions here. This one's quick. I know you love, this is curriculum questions. Excuse me. I know that you love Apology of Science for early elementary, which I do. Have you seen their math, and what do you think of it? I have not seen their math, and I don't know I don't know. We use teaching textbooks, and for the younger itty bitties, I use Horizon. So we have luck with teaching textbooks. And that is another question that comes up a lot with evaluations, because the claim is teaching textbooks is behind in a lot of things. So with teaching textbooks, I think the key is that you have to do this is not a question, but I can talk about it here. Because I am partnered. I did Homeschool Spanish Academy, and I partnered with them, but my contract's up with them, and I don't know if I'm going to renew or not. It's one of those things I have to discuss with my husband, but I'm only partnered with 2 separate companies. One is an affiliate and one is an actual partner, and I partner with Teaching Textbooks. I don't do any other organizations, because I want to be able to give you, unless I love the curriculum, I don't want to give you just because they're paying me money, I'm going to promote them. I don't want to play that game. So, but I can say this on here because this is not a teaching textbooks video. This is like honest truth. Okay. So with teaching textbooks, you have to take their placement exam, and with their placement exam, your child will probably score a grade higher. unless there's a learning disability, or they're behind in math. And so teaching textbooks is really good for kids that have learning disabilities, or like dyscalculia, I never get this one right, dyscalculatria. I'm going to learn how to say that right. The mathematic dys, where numbers are reversed. It's also kids that are really good with, that are very visual and kinesthetic. So if you do the placement exam for teaching textbooks, you're probably, if it's a 5th grader, they're probably going to place at 6th grade. That's pretty normal. But do the placement exam with them. When you do teaching textbooks, you literally have to stay on top of it, because the kids will try to find little loopholes in there. One of the biggest challenges, there was a video that just came up that I watched where she was like, I quit teaching textbooks. It wasn't that it was a bad curriculum. She even says in the video that, well, I don't know if it's a curriculum, because she actually had problems with Singapore math and her child before teaching textbooks. She says her daughter was doing teaching textbooks and was getting distracted and, skipping over and watching other things. And that is a challenge with teaching textbooks, because yes, it's very hands-off for the parent, but you have to make sure that they're not like, oh, this math problem is so hard, I'm just going to go watch a YouTube video, because that's actually what a lot of kids will be tempted to do. So one way is setting a timer, but you have to stay on top of it with teaching textbooks. And another thing that we do is we will, for some of those problems that they miss, actually whenever he misses a problem, I go back and I like reboot it or delete the answer, so he can actually, the next morning when he wakes up, before he starts the lesson that he's on, he has to fix all those problems that he messed up in the previous lesson. And if he still scores low on that, I'm gonna go through it again. I don't know what that means. Okay, so that's kind of with teaching textbooks. So I don't know how the math is with apologia because I'm stuck on teaching textbooks. But there was another question. I thought that was going to be a quick answer, and I totally went on bunny trails. But I just wanted to clarify that with teaching textbooks, because that's really whoo, sorry, you get to see my ceiling for a second. That's really a thing. Okay, so is IEW difficult to teach for the first time user? Is it user friendly? It's different. If you there is a learning curve, I will say that. But if you take time out, I think there's a learning curve. That's when it comes to like we were taught public school system ways. But if you take the time out, you sit down, you can go online. Andrew Pudawa actually has videos on YouTube you can watch. Or if you're doing structure and style, watch the first video with them and have him walk you through it on the video with your child. There is definitely a learning curve. If that mess up, it says I have a 20% battery. I knew my battery was low. But there is a learning curve. I should be fine for a while. I would if you're doing structure and style, do the videos with him. If you are doing one of the themed unit studies, I would go on YouTube and Google, because Andrew Pudawa is very, very active in social media. He even has a podcast. So you can go and listen to some of his podcasts to kind of get a sense of how it works. Plus, there's a lot of us out there that affiliate with them and will give, I know I don't know which video I did it in, but I'll go through like an outline or a flip through of it to kind of show. It's very different because you have to work it, like you look at a passage, it's a tool. You have to look at it as a tool. That's the key with IEW, is it's a tool. It's teaching you how to write good. It's not creating your own essay or writing a 5-page paragraph to answer a question in a report. That you can do in history and science and all the other subjects. IEW is showing you what good literature looks like and how to structure basically your copying. It's based after the Suzuki method, which is violin, piano sometimes. So that can kind of, if you know the Suzuki method, it'll be easy to translate. A lot of violinists know that. I used to like it. I used to also teach music. I have a very interesting life. And we were like, you did that too? I'm like, yeah, I did. I worked at Disney too. That's not, sidetrack. I worked at Disney in entertainment for 3 years. There, that's a fun story. Anyway, so that's IEW in a nutshell, sort of, kind of, not a nutshell. But yes, there's a learning curve. And yeah, I hope, good. I got to thank you. So that tells me it worked. And then, these are good questions. Do you ever lose your patience or become frustrated when homeschooling your children? Yes. How do you maneuver that? I separate myself. I do. That's how I do it. Oh, I'm going to go back and answer that question that you just put on there. But when it comes to patience and frustration, this is, I think, a quick one. Yes, I get frustrated. Yes, I lose my patience, and I separate myself from them. And trigonometry. I love trigonometry, but I haven't taught it yet. Oh, I do. Hold on. Don't make me count to 3. Going back to that other question, losing patience, becoming frustrated. Don't Make Me Count to 3 is a really good book by Ginger Hubbard, and I use that book to kind of help me. I read it, and now I have a chart that I use to reference with my kids. And when I'm losing my patience and getting frustrated, because it seems to be mostly with discipline, I start to analyze. I go into analytical mode. I'm very analytical. I like to, why is it frustrating me? Is this frustration necessary? I start doing that to myself. So people say I have a lot of patience. That's because they see me in public. No, but I actually do. And I think that's from teaching middle school for 10 years. All right. Okay, I'm going to go back to your questions, but how do I maneuver it? I think that Don't Make Me Count to 3 book is really, really good, and by Ginger Hubbard, and separating myself from the situation if it's something that you can do, because sometimes you have to discipline right off the back or deal with right off the back. And in that case, you know, you have to just take a deep breath and count to 3 in your head. Okay, going back to top chats. Okay. Since homeschool is based on the child, do you see more people just pushing through? Woo, ceiling again. See, I didn't do the setup as well this time around because I ran on here to get on here fast. Okay. Live chats. Sorry. See, I like using my computer more because of this. Okay. Going back, since homeschool is based on the child, do you see more people just pushing through at their kids' pace versus them being tested for learning issues? And then he wrote something else too. I ask that because some people have said get them tested so you have proof. But if they're making progress, does that matter? We're still new and learning all the loops. See, that's an issue with what the public school has indoctrinated us as parents to think. Get them tested because you need proof, unless you're in a state that requires the testing by law, because there's states that require that. You have to do it by law. So it really comes down to your state. Testing is an option in the state of Florida. It's only an option. You can do an evaluation that just shows your portfolio. It's about 50-50 when it comes to that. There's a lot of homeschool parents that are in there doing it for their kids, but there's a lot of homeschool parents that still bring in that public school mindset because that's what they were taught. That's what they know to be right. That's truth to them. That's how you evaluate a child. And they're going to push for, hi, Anna. They're going to push for kids to be tested. They're going to be the ones that are focused on academics. They're going to be pushing, there's different pockets of homeschool families out there. Everyone's so incredibly different. But I mean, obviously I agree. You're teaching at your child's pace. You're teaching to your child. And I mean, all those things that you said, that's what you do. That's what you do. So, and I do see a lot of, I laugh because I see everything. Like I've seen it. I've seen some great portfolio. Actually, every parent that comes to me with a portfolio, I mean, they're doing good. They're doing awesome. But I've just seen a lot. I'm just leave it at that. I love my families. Like I don't want to talk anything bad about them because all of them are doing great. And they're, I'm just trying to choose my words carefully. But there are families that are very, very, public school minded still. There's a lot, especially with the pandemic that hit, because now you've got parents that are purposely homeschooling because they're like, oh, well, it's easier to homeschool them at home and I don't have to deal with this and that and this and that, but they're still bringing in the public schoolness into it. And then they're demanding curriculum that is similar to public school. So when there's a supply and demand issue, you're going to find companies out there that are writing curriculum that are very public school-esque. And then people like it because that's what they're used to and they love. And so now that's why I'm really like, no, we're seeing, things that are very public school based coming into the homeschool stuff. So anyway, the point is you homeschool the way that you want to homeschool when it comes down to that. You homeschool the way that you want to homeschool. And if it's true that you want to homeschool, if you want to homeschool ceiling again. My setup's awful right now, but it's all good. It's all good. If you want to homeschool like the public school system, that's totally fine. But make sure that you're you're doing it the way that you want to do it. If you want to homeschool from a Christian perspective, if you want to homeschool from a Muslim perspective, there's a huge Muslim community in Tampa, actually, where I just told you I lived, but huge in my city. And they trust me, and I do a lot of their evaluations, and so they will homeschool from their perspective. And yeah, so it's you homeschool, make sure you know why you're homeschooling, and make sure you're doing it the way that you want to do it and not getting sucked into something that you're trying to avoid. So I don't know if I think I just went on a tangent. Yay. Okay, let's go back to the chats. We did the IEW. So I asked that because people have said getting them tested so you have proof. Unless the state asks for it, I don't see a point. The only point, because I do testing, the only point I see in testing is 1 for the state, and 2, just because you're trying to get a feel for where they are academically, or if you're looking for red flags for a learning disability, because I actually use the PIAT. The PIAT is Peabody Individual Assessment Test, and I'm not qualified to diagnose someone with a disability. However, when you do the PIAT, there's red flags. So if somebody is dyslexic, it'll pop up with a PIAT. Like, you can see it because the way the test is written. Same with dysgraphia, and same with other learning disabilities. Gifted, all of them. So yes, gifted is considered a learning disability. Not many people know that. I almost had my gifted certification. I'm shy 1 class, and then I don't want to pay the money to get certified. I was not Snow White. I was not. I am too short. I am very short. I actually, funny story, side note, funny story, as I try to get my live comments up. I was given the opportunity to be pretty much any princess I wanted to be if I went to Tokyo for 6 months. And I said no. And I'm so mad at myself to this day. That's like the only regret that I have. I could have just been in Tokyo Disney as Snow White or any of them because of the American look. All right. But it's okay. It's all good. I probably would have stuck with Disney and still worked there. And I think the Lord had different avenues for me. Good trigonometry curriculum for visual. Oh, for visual learner. Ooh. For visual learners. That I don't know. Does anybody else? Does anybody in the chats know? I mean, trigonometry, you could do a, maybe, I don't, unless you know trigonometry. That's the hard part. But you can visually, I'm going to throw something out there. Sometimes if they're good at trigonometry, mixing it with some physics stuff, but then I would have fun building that kind of curriculum. But if you can find a way to mix it in, if you could find like a trigonometry physics type curriculum, then you get some visual tactile stuff going on. Yeah. I second the, oh, Belinda. Okay, wait. Oh, I want to go back up. Now I want to see what's happening in the chats. Okay. Trigonometry. How do you deal with burnout as a parent and teacher? That's the topic now. Okay, sorry. Burnout with parent and teacher. So burnout is when you're tired. Burnout is take a week off, or take a day off, or just take something off. Just I mean, you can school through the summer. It's flexible. If you're burning out, just take time off. That's what I would do. That's my suggestion. Technically, it is. Okay, so someone said, so being gifted is considered a disability. So those are just words, you know, they're just words. And they're just, that's how they organize things. And then again, I'm out of the public school system. Like, it's been 10 years since I've resigned, but gifted was actually had an IEP, and, you know, it was a thing. You had to make accommodations. So it was looped in with the ADHD and all the things. So but gifted has their challenges. It really does. It's not, everybody wants a child that's gifted. But it does have challenges. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Is just that we perceive it as a bad thing because that's how we were taught. I think, I believe that ADHD is a gift. I think ADHD, like people think gifted is a gift. I think, and a lot of kids that are gifted also have ADHD. I think ADHD is a gift. I think honestly, dyslexia is a gift. But there's a book called The Gifted Dyslexia. And I think there's a reason for all these little disabilities, that people have, that there's so many beautiful things that come out of that individual person that other people can't duplicate. So, especially like giftedness, you've got the high emotions, you've got the, really, really smart intelligence, boredom, you have lots of energy sometimes, and it's hard to keep up with them. I mean, they're all over the place sometimes. And ADHD, sometimes they're all over the place. They're staring out the window. They have tons and tons of energy with those kids. Dyslexia, what's really neat, it's really, reading is always a struggle. But what they can see around things the way that others can't. So it's almost one of the best careers, I shouldn't say perfect, one of the best careers for somebody that has dyslexia is something like architecture and art and design, those kind of things, because they can see things at different angles that other people can't see. And so anyway, but yeah, they're just, once again, they're just words. Labels are just words, and they classify things, and there's nothing quote unquote bad about that. Okay. All right, so we're going back up. Burnout, my dad is watching. Thirst, I don't know what that is. Okay. That's what we thought. Missouri is super family friendly and hands off. That's nice. That's nice. Go back to that's really nice. Florida seems scary. I always say that. Okay. I lost my thing. I lost it. How do you know? Okay. How do you know that you are teaching enough, but not too much? You gauge at your child's response to you. If you're not teaching enough, there's going to be boredom, and they're going to gravitate back to their computers and iPads, or things are going to be just too easy. But if you're teaching too much, there's going to be burnout. So you just gauge it according to your child, your individual child. I know that my kids are very discussion based. Like, we do a lot of talking. So if all else fails, we'll sit down and have a conversation about something academic, like history, or that keeps them out of the boredom. But that's just one thing that we do when I feel like my kids are not getting enough, is we have a conversation, a breakout conversation about something. But you gauge it by your children. I would gauge it by your children. I know a lot of states will say you have to teach this, and this. With the exception of those states, I would pick your core subjects and then explore the rest of the stuff. That's just how we kind of do it. But in-depth exploring. I don't know. I felt like I just went on bunny trails just now. But the answer would be gauge it according to your child. Okay, I want to see if you guys are answering any of these questions too. Where's Belinda? Oh, how do you know that you are teaching? That's where that came in. How do you know that you're not how do you know that you are teaching enough but not too much? And then someone says we struggle with that too. I second that question, but might not be able to be answered. Gauge it by your child, I think. And then she says, so you're saying gifted is a disability? And then I answered that. Okay, thank you. Me too. I sometimes feel like I push too much work. There's like that fine line between challenging them and overwhelming them. You don't want to bore them. You want them to be challenged. So you kind of have to gauge it day by day and kind of play around with it a little bit. And when they, like, I would push them and push them and push them, and then you start getting a little pushback, and then push a little bit more to see how far you can go with them. it's just kind of playing around with it to figure, I mean, you have to gauge it by your child. It's what it comes down to. And you have to play it by ear. But like I said, if they're bored and they finish their work fast, obviously they're not being challenged, and you need to find a way to challenge them. And all the little things that people say, like finding out if they're visual learners or auditory learners or kinesthetic learners, and getting them involved with different activities. Some people do trail life, and stuff like that. Just finding ways to get them challenged with different interests, and then seeing where they gravitate towards. I don't know, it's a lot of playing around. And it takes time to really kind of figure it out. And then once you figure it out, then you find out something else happens that you have to figure out. So we're human, I guess. I hope that answers your question. Live chats again. Okay. Okay. We feel like God is calling us to homeschool. So grateful for this opportunity with my children. Your video on the Florida laws really helped us to see how amazing homeschool is. Yay. Thank you. Good. I hope they're cheesy. I'm sorry. I was trying to keep it upbeat, because if they're not upbeat, then people click off sometimes. Okay. Going back. So far, my kiddos let me know when they've had enough. Yep. Or when they want more. Yeah. Into year 3, and they ask for certain things and refuse those that rub them wrong. Yeah. There you go. God makes no mistakes. We are, I think it's made in, God makes no mistakes. I don't know what she's trying to say, but I think it's repeating something that I said earlier. Completely agree. And then, okay, thanks. Okay, so I got down to everybody's comments so far on the chat. I'm going to answer, there's like 3 more questions or 4 more questions. What does discipline look like in your household? So this is from Brittany. What does discipline look like in your household? I have one child that behaves well 99% of the time, and another child that misbehaves 99% of the time. It's extremely frustrating and discouraging. It seems like nothing works. Don't Make Me Count to 3. I love that book. Discipline in my household. How do we discipline our kids? I have them write sentences and take away electronics. I am trying not to threaten them. I'm working on that right now. I have a tendency to threaten them. If you don't do this, you're going to do this, or this is going to happen to you. But I'm working on that. Threats don't work too much for me. Staying focused on what they need to get done. So that's something that we actually worked on early on with routines, is cleaning the house. So they know after breakfast, everybody cleans. And they know after lunch, everybody cleans. And they know after dinner, everybody cleans. Like, we have those. In the beginning, when I was really pushing that routine, they didn't want to do it. So then, I kept repeating myself, you've got to clean. You've got to clean. We had conversations about it. You need to clean. You need to clean after. Someone has to do the dishes. So then it got to the point where we did it every single day, and it turned into a routine. And then they started doing it. But you have to address discipline when somebody disobeys you. We do sentences. We've done timeout. Naomi, we do timeout a lot with. And timeout, taking things away from them. And we have to be consistent with it, because if we're not consistent with it, they push more. I go back to that because I just read it, probably. Don't Make Me Count to 3 again. That was really good. There's the Ted Tripp book is really good. A lot of people, Shepherding a Child's Heart is another one that everybody likes. So I would recommend those 2 books to help as guidelines. Don't Make Me Count to 3 is pretty much based after Ted Tripp's book, from what I understand. But her book is shorter, and there's a study guide that goes with it. So it's very application. There's a lot of application to that book. So I don't know about Ted Tripp's book. She quoted it a lot in her book. All right, next question is, have any of your kids been shy at the beginning of co-op? Yes. Any tips for helping a shy kid with nervous feelings about co-ops? Just ask the teacher to be really warm and welcoming with them, and see, you might be able to sit in on the first day if possible. That might help warm them up and slowly inch away. just encouraging them that it's going to be fun. Maybe this is not bribing. If you say to them after co-op, we're going to go get some ice cream, just in general, it might help motivate them to have a more fun day, like treats like that. So those are some of the things that I would use. And I know I think I answered all of these questions on here. If you guys have any comments to share with these questions, but I've got all of these questions. Okay, answering questions in the chat, because I saw 2 pop up. Okay, have you noticed rigorous means something different to so many people too? Yeah, and between each child too, which I think is what really makes the is it enough a hard thing to answer. Yeah. You're starting to think like me. Yeah, it does, because everybody has like different vocabulary and different experiences. So that's why you have to really look at your family setup and look at how your kids are responding to it. And yeah. All right, and then somebody else wrote, how many kids do you have? I have 4. How long have you been homeschooling? Gosh. How long have I been homeschooling? I have a 7th grader this year, so that's 8 years. But I did teach at a homeschool co-op because I resigned 10 years ago from my teaching position in the public school system. And when I did that, I immediately started working in a homeschool co-op when my kid was still technically preschool. He didn't take any classes. So I've been homeschooling my kids, like if you want to count K through 12, that would be 8 years plus preschool. I don't know how you want to count that. I have a 7th grader and we've been homeschooling since the beginning. And I resigned from public school 10 years. So if that answers your question, favorite curriculum? I love IEW. But I've really been into Answers in Genesis, looking a lot at their stuff lately, but more of the advanced stuff. I do have a video where I'm like, I don't like using master books anymore, but that's specifically with the language arts curriculum. I think they need to rework that curriculum if they haven't already. I know that they did with the math. They actually kind of made it a little more challenging. And so I feel like the math might be really, I don't know, but I think the math might have been beefed up a little bit more. But I love master book science because it's Answers in Genesis. But we're into more of the heavy stuff with the curriculum at this point with science. So we're doing more like we're reading books together, and history. Oh, Truth Quest. That's another, I love Truth Quest, but that's because they're I love the next question. Truth Quest is going to be biblical based, and it is going to be very flexible. And I like flexibility when I homeschool because I don't feel like I'm tied to a curriculum. So you can pick out whichever books you want. They give you kind of like an outline and then topic questions, and it's a lot of searching. It teaches you how to search for answers. Okay, I know my battery's really actually starting to run low. Okay, somebody asked me my thoughts. You're welcome. What are your thoughts on faith-based science? Yes, I think science, this is my opinion, I think science should only be taught faith-based. I think because I think every single subject should be faith-based. And that's what I'm unboxing starting September 11th. We're going to go down that rabbit trail. Even mathematics, I think. But see, mathematics, there's a purpose behind doing math. And the purpose is when you do math, you're getting a glimpse. You're getting a glimpse of the way God thinks. A glimpse of the way God thinks. Do I have a Messianic historic curriculum? No, I don't. But mathematics, okay, I want to go back to the other one, a glimpse of the way God thinks. And you're seeing, there's a purpose behind math. Math is very logical. It's very precise. It's either right or wrong. There's no gray area, and it's perfect. And I don't know, it's just how God thinks. And I love math, because as difficult as math is, the math that we're seeing is so easy to God. Like, it's like he created it. So, and it's the way his brain works. If I don't even think that doesn't make any sense because it's the way God thinks. Okay, that didn't make sense what I said because you know what I'm trying to say. It's the way he thinks. And then history, you're not just looking at a bunch of people just randomly responding to other people. You're actually looking at human nature. You're looking how God deals with sin. You're looking at consequences for your actions. You're looking at blessings. You're looking at, you know, how people respond to God, how human nature pulls us away. You know, our flesh will pull away from God and we sin, but then also God's, you know, his forgiveness and his mercy and his grace throughout history, and the people that are obedient to God, you know, what that looks like as opposed to those that are disobedient. Like, you're looking at humanity from a biblical perspective, of course. And then science, I don't think there's any other way to study it, period. I don't know. Like, you need to be, you know, if you're a believer, you have to do science biblically based. It saddens me, I think, when I see believers teaching science secular and trying to stay neutral, because I mean, your foundation is the scriptures, not a textbooks. And a textbook is man's word and the Bible is God's word. So yeah, I'm really big on that, especially because I teach science at a homeschool co-op. Science is my passion. And I feel sometimes when it comes to science, and I've like this year, I'm already getting ready. We're doing forensic science and animal science this year. Last year we did astronomy and inventions. But the point is that I have gone through these phases in my life where I'm having to declutter all that secular science belief, where I'm looking at these science thoughts in my head and I'm like questioning the validity of scripture. And I'm like, why the heck am I doing that? Because I mean, scripture is my foundation. So why am I so one of, like, you know, the the billions of years versus, you know, 6,000 years and the 6 days, like 24-hour days versus like the old earth, you know, theology, like all those things are, you know, like it's such a debate. Anyway, it's a lot of decluttering out of our brains when it comes to science, because I feel like most of the lies are within that topic. And we still believe them sometimes, and we don't even realize we believe them. So I can go on a tangent. I am a big fan of Answers in Genesis. I have all the answers, questions. Those are more like the big books are more for adults, and then the smaller books are for kids. Okay, so there's another question. My battery is running low. So if it cuts out, that's because my battery died. I keep getting messages. Okay. Okay, thank you. I needed to hear that. Messianic historic curriculum, I don't. And I'm looking for some good, because I notice that once you finish the Roman Empire, you tend to go over to the Middle Ages and you start following the Anglo-Saxons and that cultural, like all the barbarians and then Anglo-Saxon and Middle Ages and Dark Ages, like then you focus on that area of the world and you don't know what's going on over in the Middle East. Not many people do that. And I think we need to be studying the Middle East during that time period, because there's a lot there happening. And I'm looking for it. It's hard. And that's a really hard one to do. I think this is so funny. I learned about that when I went to Israel. I was like, nobody taught me this history. Going through all those museums in Israel and reading all the plaques, like that's how I learned history. And then I started pulling books off the shelves about specific things that interest me, and with the Palestinians and the wars and all those things. So it's almost like you have to look at Muslim history to see what's going on with the Sephardic Jews in that area. Messianic, going back to Messianic specific, okay, that's like the Bible. Because it all started with Jesus. That's when the Messianic history kind of started, I guess, is what you could say. I mean, I could get technical and say it started from Genesis, but I do believe it started from Genesis. From a Messianic perspective, is just following the history of the Jewish people, whether they went with Anglo-Saxons up in the middle. That would be more of your Ashkenazi Jews, as opposed. No, I'm getting confused. Sephardic is going to be the ones in the Middle East. Ashkenazi are going to be the ones up in the like France and Spain, and nope, Spain is going to be Sephardic. I'm getting confused. I'm confusing myself. But anyway, Ashkenazi, Sephardic. Russian is Ashkenazi, I'm pretty sure. But that's going to be with the Middle Ages and Dark Ages, and then the Sephardic is going to be down lower. Anyway, I'm an Egyptian Jew, and it's difficult to find. Really? Really? I didn't know that. I would, well, no, because you're not in Egypt. Because I don't know where you're from. But that's Sephardic. Wouldn't that be Sephardic? So I wonder if you can like Google Sephardic Jewish history. Oh, there you see my ceiling again, sorry. In America now. I wonder if you could Google Sephardic, because that would, or Egyptian history. That's hard. You're going to have to go digging, because you're not going to find any curriculum sharing that stuff, as far as I know. So many people are starting to homeschool. My battery's going to die, guys. I'm sorry. Many people are starting to homeschool in California. Most districts are now offering virtual school for all grades because they are losing so many students. Yeah, that's what's happening here too. Deschooling those ideas in our heads. Yep. Or how about like unbrainwashing or I don't know, scrubbing out the gunk. In America now. Okay, so I have no more questions in the chats. I am worried about my cell phone dying on me because I didn't really charge it before the chat. And I know I have a pretty fairly good amount of you guys still on here. I'm going to kind of close up. Hopefully I got some questions. I went on some bunny trails. That was a fun last week when you guys got on there and started giving me ideas. So yeah, I'm going to close up shop. I'm going to do this again next. I know that our homeschool Jewish community, however, is closed online community, and it can be seen. Okay. Sorry. Thank you. Next Sunday at 9:30, think of questions and think of things that you can answer. I'm going to figure out what's going on with that microphone over there, because I like sitting there better. It's more comfortable. I don't know if that works. We'll see. I feel like I'm a little bit nutty tonight too. So thank you for having patience with me, my little like craziness at the beginning too. So thank you guys. Maybe I'll just keep doing these lives, because I really like doing these lives. Like I really like doing these. I like connecting with you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna head out. Thank you guys for watching. And if you didn't catch from the beginning, yes, you're welcome. Oh, thank you guys. All these thank yous are coming up. I love it. Thank you guys, because I'm having fun. I should be thanking you guys for coming on here and spending time with me and just chit-chatting. Okay, I'm going to close up shop. Leave me some comments down below if you have more questions for next week. And yeah, I'll see you then. Shoot me an email, shoot me Instagram, whatever, and we'll be in touch. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.